Next, we have our two candidates for state treasurer. And the facilitator for this section will be Tiffany Stevens, who is the vice chair of the Democratic Party of New Mexico, Congressional District number 1. Tiffany?
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us on this beautiful New Mexican Sunday. So our two candidates running, I'm going to go over some quick ground rules. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for an introduction, and we will have 5 questions followed by a 2-minute response by each of our candidates. Pam Cordova will give a notice of 15 seconds before the end of your 2 minutes, and then she will let you know when your 2 minutes is up. We will be ending this forum with a 2-minute conclusion statement by each of our candidates, and I will alternate the questions between each of our candidates. And I'm so proud to announce 2 of our female candidates for state treasurer, Laura Montoya and Heather Benavides. Thank you both for being here this afternoon.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you. So I'm going to start off by asking you to give your 2-minute opening statement, and we will start with Heather Benavides. Heather?
Thank you so much. Thank you, Tiffany, and thank you, Laura, for being here. And thank you to the Valencia County, Bernalillo County, and Sandoval County Dems for putting this on. I'm Heather Benavides, Chief of Staff in the State Treasurer's Office, and I am running to serve you as your next state treasurer because I believe that investing in our future begins with investing in our people. I was born in Albuquerque, raised in Rio Communities, graduated from Belen High School, got a bachelor's from UNM, as well as a Master of Public Administration with an emphasis on public finance from UNM. I have been a proud public servant for the last 19 years. I started my service in the 13th Judicial District Court, where I created a program for individuals facing foreclosure so that they could stay in their homes. I have been with the Treasurer's Office since 2017, and during that time, we have done lots of advocacy work. We have helped individuals with disabilities get accounts so that they could save money without losing their benefits. We're working on an account program for individuals who are self-employed so they can have a retirement program when they get to retirement age. And we've done extensive financial literacy education. Working in the Treasurer's Office has made me realize that continuity of good service is important. And that's why I am the most qualified candidate to hold this position, because I'm already there doing the work. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And now a 2-minute opening statement from Laura Montoya.
Well, hello, everyone. I am Laura Montoya, and my family, my friends, volunteers, and everyone are working hard to make me your first female state treasurer in New Mexico. I want to start off by thanking all of you for organizing this and for all of the 85 attendees that are taking time out of their day to listen to the importance of this election. I was born, raised, and educated in Las Vegas, New Mexico. I am the oldest of 3. My mom is a retired educator. She just retired this year after 30 years, Geraldine Montoya. And my father is Michael Montoya. He's a rancher full-time and also serves our community in Las Vegas as a city councilor. I was very blessed to have a younger sister and a brother. My sister is a psychotherapist and my brother is a state fire marshal. Public service comes in our family. I am 23 years in government. Most of it has been involved with finances. I was the Sandoval County Treasurer for 8 years, elected twice in a purple county. Sandoval County is the fastest growing county in the state of New Mexico. We have the most Native communities, 7 Pueblos, 3 Navajo chapters, the Apaches, and a piece of Mescalero. I am very grateful for the team that I had. We had 4 clean audits the last 4 of my 8 years in the Treasurer's Office. We've been able to get 21 bills passed at the legislature with the help of all of our treasurers affiliate. And I'm very grateful for all of the endorsements that I have received for people that I have worked with and that have entrusted me with leadership. I'm asking all of you for your vote, for your support, and for your petition signature. My website is lauramontoya4nm.com, and I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Thank you so much. And I'm going to start with the first question to Laura Montoya, and I'll repeat the question for each of the candidates. So our first question is, since the state treasurer serves on multiple boards, councils, and commissions like the State Board of Finance, State Investment Council, Public Employee Retirees Association, and many more. Describe how you would handle multitasking all these different responsibilities.
Well, I'm glad that you asked that question. I was the administrative assistant to Douglas Minge Brown. Treasurer Doug Brown was in not as an elected state treasurer, but as an appointee after things went bad in the treasurer's office. And I helped with the transition with James B. Lewis. I took care of Doug's schedule during that time. As county treasurer, I was legislative chair for the treasurer's affiliate. I was vice chair of the Finance, Pension, and Intergovernmental Affairs Committee with the National Association. I was the only treasurer on the Tax Policy Committee, along with many other boards that I had been involved in, not including my community work or my activities within the Democratic Party. I am very good at multitasking. Most of you have probably received an email from me very late at night because I continually believe that service sometimes doesn't have an 8 to 5 job. I will make sure that I'm at all of the committee hearings, that I'm building the relationships with the other people that are around me that have been mentoring me for many years. And I'll utilize the 23 years of government experience that I have to contribute to those conversations about taxes, about rates that are going on in the investment council, about PARA and ERB and how important it is to make sure that they stay solvent for all of the people that have worked their entire lives to be able to retire. Is that my time? Oh,
You have more time.
thank you. I will make sure that I'm involved. If you've worked with me, you know that I always attend all of my meetings and I make sure that I'm always attentive to the discussion and bring in the input. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And for Heather Benavides, the same question. Since the state treasurer serves on multiple boards, councils, and commissions, like the State Board of Finance, State Investment Council, Public Employee Retirees Association, and many more, describe how you would handle multitasking all these different responsibilities.
That's a great question. Thank you. As a mother of a daughter who put myself through school while she was younger, while working full time, I am very good at multitasking and putting my energies where they need to be when they need to be there. And as any good leader knows, we are only as good as the people we surround ourselves with. And so one of the things that our wonderful state treasurer, Tim Eichenberg, whose endorsement I am very proud to have, has done is he has designated employees in his office to attend some of these meetings as his designee for these different boards. And I am very proud to sit on the New Mexico Small Business Investment Corporation Board, as well as the New Mexico Renewable Energy Transmission Authority boards. But I also understand that as the leader in the office, and I hope to be that leader, everything falls on us. At the end of the day, the buck stops with us. And so if and when I am unable to attend some of these meetings, I will make sure that the wonderful people in the treasurer's office who already work there, my colleagues who have years of financial investment and information technology and renewable energy experience, I will make sure that they are assigned to these boards and they can sit in for me and that they report back and give me all the information I need. And I will be able to trust that they're doing that because that is the type of office that we have currently. And as stated, as a woman and all of us out there, you know how it goes. We have to multitask. We take care of our homes. We take care of our families. We take care of our education. We take care of our employment. We take care of our employees. And that is the type of leader I am. And I know that I will be successful in that endeavor as your next state treasurer. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now for our second question, and this will start off with Heather Benavides. What financial policies have you implemented or do you plan to implement that would greatly affect the financial status for the state of New Mexico?
Thank you for that question. So financial policies that we have implemented so far, other than doing outreach for financial literacy education to local high schools, partnering with small businesses and financial institutions around the state to provide education in Money Smart New Mexico, as well as partnering with nonprofits in the state to provide the education to individuals aging out of the foster care system. We have also implemented Able New Mexico, which is a wonderful program that allows individuals with disabilities to save money without losing their benefits. We started that program in January of 2018, and we are about to have our 4th anniversary, and we are very proud of that program. Since implementation, we have been able to help 1,000 individuals with disabilities save in accounts where their money is shielded, in accounts upwards of $10,000, $20,000. The benefits agencies cannot count that asset against them, and they can continue their benefits. That is one fantastic way that we have been able to help individuals living in New Mexico. The other way is New Mexico Work and Save. It is a retirement program that we are currently working on in the Treasurer's Office right now that will be available by July 2024. Under my leadership, I hope to speed that up. And what it will be available to is employees of small businesses, employees who have not had access to a retirement program. 67% of New Mexicans work in a small business and don't have access to para or to ERB. I do. I've been a proud para member for 19 years. I know how nice it is to have that waiting for me when I retire. Everybody in New Mexico deserves that same opportunity. And that, as your treasurer, is what I'm going to continue working on.
Thank you so much. And now the second question for Laura Montoya is, what financial policies have you implemented or plan to implement that would greatly affect the financial status for the state of New Mexico?
So there are several financial policies that the Treasurer's affiliate put into place, but as it's related and relevant to the Treasurer's Office, I'll be specific. So 6-10-10 NMSA is the chapter in which investment policy and what you can invest in, both as a county treasurer and as a state treasurer, are located. The Treasurer's affiliate has changed that about 4 times. We added in CDs for Class 8 for all county treasurers. We added in supranationals for not only the county treasurers in a Class A county, but we added it into the state treasurers section of that to allow them to be able to diversify their portfolio more, which allowed them to get more funding based on what was going on in the pandemic. We also added in supranationals for Class A counties. Class A counties are your 5 largest counties in the state of New Mexico, which include Sandoval County and Bernalillo County. They also include Santa Fe and San Juan and Doña Ana County. The other one that we added in was commercial paper A1P1, and that was allowed for Class A counties and for the state treasurer's office. What it really allows is for people who have a larger portfolio that have investment advisors also to help guide, or a big investment group like the treasurer's office, to be able to diversify the portfolio, but still keeping the state's 3 primary safety, liquidity, and yield at the top forefront of the decision making. We've had other public policy that has helped us in the tax side of making money, which included helping our veterans and our seniors with the senior value freeze. We added in an increase to 35,000, and we added in a consumer price index. I know that the Veterans Caucus is looking at doing the increase also for the veterans exemption that we have in property taxes. A lot of people don't realize that taxes is also another way of being able to safeguard our taxpayer dollars. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now we'll alternate to start our third question, starting with Laura Montoya. Have you ever had trouble implementing specific regulation, and how do you plan on enforcing regulation as our next treasurer?
Quick answer, yes. Absolutely. So there's different policies that you work on as an elected official, and sometimes the biggest gap is the lack of communication or miscommunication that can occur between federal, state, and local levels. And so it's important that you utilize your New Mexico counties for county elected officials, and then they work with the state, whether it's Department of Finance administration, property tax division under tax and rev, or even the governor's office, and making sure that everyone is on the same page. No one likes surprises. So during the interim committees, for example, we all have discussions about needs that we have to be able to serve the people that we swore an oath to. And in doing so, we can come up with a lot better of policy without unintended consequences that can affect New Mexicans in a better way. I'll give you a perfect example. Some of the bills that we've gotten passed, we've made sure that we've had New Mexico counties approve it That means county commissioners, county treasurers, assessors, and then we move that through our process to the state level and make sure that the different departments under the governor's office are also in connection with that. And then moving forward, we ask our legislators also to support us in some of those needs so that we can get those bills accomplished. And in doing so, that's how we got 21 bills passed in 7 years under my administration as legislative chair. The treasurers in rural and urban work together to be able to make more communicative tools and avenues towards all of our elected officials. Thank you.
Thank you. And to Heather Benavides, the same question. Have you ever had trouble implementing specific regulation, and how do you plan on enforcing regulation as our next treasurer?
Thank you for that question. I haven't really had problems trying to get something passed or enforcing the regulation once it is passed, or helping the communities to understand why what it is we're working for is necessary for the people. And that is what I am here for, working for New Mexico's people and making sure that the policies and the regulations that we in the treasurer's office either work for, create, or consult on, that they're good for everybody. The only issue that I think came up when we were trying to pass the ABLE Act was trying to get everybody to understand that this was not going to negatively impact the disability community, because as we know, it's an already marginalized community, which should not be facing more challenges, especially from the government. And so what it took was a very strong communications kind of outreach effort between our office, between the ARC of New Mexico, between other state agencies that help to deal with disability rights and disability issues, and to come together and to have meetings and to understand this is what the program is for. This is how we are going to implement the program. This is how we're going to do outreach for the program. And these are the things that are going to help the individuals who utilize this program. And one of the things that we've come up against recently is misinformation. And I know that that is an issue that everybody in government has to deal with, especially right now in times of COVID. And COVID's actually making it worse. But really what it comes down to is trusting, as the state treasurer, hopefully as your state treasurer, that what we're doing is the right thing, and conveying that through the trust we've developed with these agencies, conveying that it is important and it is helpful and that it will help the lives of New Mexicans. Thank you.
Thank you. And so now for our fourth question, and we'll start off with Heather Benavides. Support for a New Mexico public bank is in our party's platform. What is your understanding of how a state public bank works? Do you support the development of a New Mexico state public bank? And specifically, how could a public bank expand New Mexico's lending power for community development?
Thank you so much for that question. It comes up a lot on the campaign trail, and I know I'm not the only one. My answer about the public bank has been consistent throughout this campaign, and it's not going to change. I think that a public bank is a great idea on its face. I do. And I know that there has been legislation in the past to create one. Now, in the treasurer's office, there are some concerns that we've identified, and I've had a very, very nice conversation with Angela Market from the Alliance for Local Economic Prosperity, and we've talked about the concerns, but I think that there's a lot more work to do. So if there's any proposed legislation currently, and it seeks the public bank to be the fiscal agent bank, that is something that we'd have to work towards, because there are certain products that the fiscal agent bank, Wells Fargo, provides to the agencies that we help. And they provide very specific products in terms of web interface, card products, bank account products. And we need to make sure that if the public bank is the fiscal agent bank, then it's going to have access to these products and be able to hit the ground running. And if it happens, it's not going to happen overnight. And so that's a concern that the people creating the public bank need to think about. Another concern is being FDIC insured. Now, I know that there's a public bank in South Dakota, and there's also one in America Samoa. The one in South Dakota is not FDIC insured. And in order to deposit state funds, it must be. So if that's something that the proposed legislation for the public bank can, can alleviate that concern, then yes, we're all for it. And so I would love to have more conversations about this. I'm open to having more conversations about this. More research needs to be done, but it's not off the table. Thank you.
Thank you. And now the fourth question to Laura Montoya. Support for our New Mexico Public Bank is on our party's platform. And what is your understanding of how a state public bank works? Do you support the development of a New Mexico Public Bank? And specifically, how could public bank expand New Mexico's lending power for community development?
So I think this is where my opponent and I differentiate quite a bit. I have been trying to take as many classes with Miss Angela and others on how we can make something like this happen. So the idea or the importance of what they're trying to accomplish is to allow for more lending power. And there's a lot of confusion as to what this bank is intended to do, but let me give you an example. So the treasures are required, or government funds are required to be deposited with a 24-hour rule. The state auditor has currently clearly identified what that 24-hour rule means in statute as an interpretation. What the state bank would do is get money from the state itself and be able to utilize that for community banks to be able to lend funds to people who might not have a lot of credit. Maybe it's a small business who really has a great idea, but they don't have enough lending power to be able to do that. So what the intent is to really help bridge the gap between the rich and the poor, the haves and the have-nots. How we get there still needs to be worked on, which is why people should try to get into those classes and learn more about this state bank. Senator Jeff Steinborn is one of the sponsors of this legislation, and they've been working really hard to try to get this going. The overall intent of the Democratic platform is it works in part with what this state bank idea is, because it's about fairness and equality and about giving everyone an opportunity to be able to open a business or to be able to have enough collateralization. What I think my opponent is talking about in FDIC insurance, that's for $250,000 or lower. It's the collateralization that is the concern that needs to be looked at and evaluated. But I know if we all work together, we can make something happen for the overall outcome to help people in bridging that gap in New Mexico. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And for our last and fifth question, what strategies would you use to communicate and to present to our local, state, federal officials, as well as to the private sector and to the media? Laura Montoya.
You cut out on half of the question. Can you please repeat it or put it in the chat and I'll read it?
Sure, I'll repeat it. What strategies would you use to communicate and to present to our local, state, federal officials, as well as to the private sector and to the media?
Strategies for what specifically?
How would you present and implement changes that you're looking to communicate to the media coming from the treasurer's office, and how would you communicate those presentations to the media and to the private sector, as well as to the local state officials if you were presenting to them?
Perfect. Thank you so much for the clarification.
Yes, I'm sorry.
I will continue to do a lot of what has worked in the past being a county treasurer. Working with the New Mexico Municipal League, working with New Mexico counties, working with the state and the governor's office and all of the secretaries under the governor's office, as well as our legislators and the interim committees that we have regarding specific issues. So for example, with me, financial literacy is important. New Mexico is ranked 47th. What I want to do is help work on the expansion of financial literacy as a mandatory class in grades 9th through 12th. Well, we don't want to have unintended consequences of hurting our teachers or putting more burden on them or hurting the school system. We want to work with them. So we work with AFT and NEA. We work with some of our larger school districts as much as our smaller school districts because they have different needs and different concerns that happen. Being able to communicate with all of them, as well as writing, for example, what will be coming out in the letter to the editor regarding my financial literacy plan in the next couple of weeks. Getting everyone to the table that is going to be impacted it, because then we can make better decisions, make sure we have less unintended consequences, and have everyone on the same page. Right now, we have some legislators that have been working on this legislation, and hopefully if it's part of the call, we'll be able to work on that. Another one is predatory lenders. I want to work on legislation that changes that, and some of our legislators have been doing that, and some of our programs lobbyists have been trying to work against that as well. It hurts our people of color, our women and our natives the most. And I want to make sure that we change that so we can bridge that gap of inequity. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And our final question to Heather Benavides. What strategies or communication strategies would you use when presenting to our local, state, and federal officials, as well as the communication strategies that you would present to the private sector and to the media?
Thank you so much, Tiffany. And so, as it's been for the last 16 years under Treasurer Lewis and Treasurer Eichenberg, and will continue under my hopeful leadership, accountability and full transparency in our office. And the way that we've been able to do that has been a combination of different things, utilizing new technologies as they're available to us. We do press releases when we have a new program we want to show and implement. We have social media sites. We are on Facebook and we are on Twitter, both the State Treasurer's Office and ABLE New Mexico. I assume that New Mexico Work and Save will be on both platforms as well. We have newsletters that go out monthly. I have an ABLE New Mexico newsletter that goes out. We are implementing a financial literacy newsletter this month, and there's an LGIP newsletter. Also, all of our meetings, our State Treasurer's Investment Committee meeting, our New Mexico Work and Save board meetings, they're all public. Anybody can view them at any time. Laura was just on one the other day. It was fantastic. We do so many things to make sure that government on all levels, municipal, state, tribal, and private citizens know what it is we're doing, what we're working on, what we plan to implement, regulations we're following. Transparency is important, and that is what's going to continue from our office. There will never be a deviation from that, as well as our website. I forgot to mention, everything you want to know about the State's Treasurer's Office is on the website, and I encourage you to have a look. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much to both of you for answering our questions and expanding more on your candidacy for State Treasurer. So now we're going to go to our 2-minute closing statements, and we'll start off with Heather Benavides.
Thank you so much. I am Heather Benavides, and I'm running to serve you as your next State Treasurer because, as I said before, I believe that investing in New Mexico's future begins with investing in our people. And that's not just a campaign slogan. It is the philosophy on which I've built 19 years of public service. I am currently Chief of Staff in the State Treasurer's Office, and I work directly with the Treasurer and Deputy Treasurer to manage 26 employees in 5 divisions: budget and finance, cash management, investment operations, and special projects. As Chief of Staff, I work directly with my colleagues to solve problems, to mediate disputes, deal with issues, to mitigate negative impact to the agency. And I understand the culture of the agency and the interactions between our divisions that are crucial to our daily operations. I have been vetted by both the Treasurer's Office and the Governor's Office with criminal and credit background checks. And as a former judge, I understand how crucial it is to hold the trust of the public and how easily that trust can be lost. The next treasurer must be a good steward of the taxpayers' money, have integrity, have a clean record, and understand the fiduciary duty to New Mexicans that this office holds. I feel I am the best candidate for this position. Thank you so much.
And Laura Montoya, your 2-minute closing statement, please.
Ms. Tiffany, I want to thank you for being the moderator today and all of you for organizing this. Me llamo Laura Montoya. Yo soy la única latina que está en este posición corriendo para ser su tesorera de este estado. I am very happy to be here. It is an honor and a privilege to be a young girl that came from Las Vegas, New Mexico with humble beginnings, where my dad and my mom worked nonstop to make ends meet and to put food on this table for us to be able to go to school, educate ourselves, and be able to have the opportunity to get degrees at our university, which was local, and being able to serve as an elected official in the fastest growing county in the state of New Mexico. And then now to be able to come before you and say, I want to be your first woman state treasurer. I worked there as the secretary, you guys. Can you imagine now, after going through the things that went on at that time, coming in with Doug and seeing the heartbreak that had happened, not only to the employees, but to the community of what had occurred prior to Doug being appointed by a committee to be there until James B. Lewis came in. I know the importance of being in an elected position because I've had to serve, I've had to manage in tough times, in good times, when rates were low after the housing market crash, all the way to when rates were great right before the pandemic. I am qualified, I am experienced, and I have a heart of service and passion. I've been bonded. I've obviously gone through 2 huge elections, so everything that I do is basically in a fishbowl. I'm asking to serve you and for you to stand beside me so that I can be your best treasurer and work the same as Doug Brown and James B. Lewis and others who have served us in the past. Thank you so much for today. My website will be on the chat, and I'm asking you all kindly and humbly for your vote and your support in this race.
Thank you so much. And I'm so honored to moderate this forum this afternoon. I'd like to wish you both the best of luck in your candidacy for state treasurer and have a great afternoon. I'm going to hand it over to Pam Cordova.